You get to decide everything. It's the biggest responsibility. It's the biggest accountability of your life when you realize that you get to decide everything. It is also the biggest freedom and the biggest room for expansion when you really embody and understand how much of a decision you have every step of the way, from where you live, what you do for a living, what you drive, what you wear, what you eat, to also how you think, how you form your thoughts, how you feel your emotions, how you take action in the world, how you decide to show up in your energy, how you decide to handle a situation, how you decide to respond to a situation. All of these micro decisions add up to who you are. And sometimes we forget, right? Sometimes it's easy, we're caught in a moment and we think that these things are just happening to us, and sometimes they are, and sometimes it's happening because that's life. And sometimes, yeah, it's happening to us because we need to have experiences and we get to have opportunities to make decisions that are going to decide whether we're standing in courage and bravery or we're allowing to stand in fear and not allowing ourselves to do anything and hold ourselves back. We decide. You decide. You decide how you're going to move, how you're going to watch this video, how you're going to take in content and information, how you read the world and you read the signs around you, how you decide you want to give meaning to something. There are situations that can happen, and you can decide how you want to take something that someone has said to you. You can decide to make it mean a whole world of things about you or nothing at all, or realize who that person is and decide that it's just an opinion. You get to decide how much you want to know yourself, how much self-development you want to do, how much of a person you want to understand you are to the depths of you, because you are your greatest relationship with yourself. And the better relationship you have with yourself, with the creator of the energy that formed you, with the people around you, how you decide you want to walk into this world, how you want to walk through this world, how you want to look back at this world, how you want to look back at your memories. You get to decide all of that, and you get to have a hand in forming those decisions, which means you get to decide how you want your thoughts to be constructed and where you want to put your emotions placed in those thoughts. So if you have had a rough childhood, I had one, I can look back and I can see that I was a victim to certain things. Or I can look back and say, wow, I had such a difficult time dealing with difficult parents. And look how I've understood where they come from. And I've moved through that. And now I get to decide the type of adult I want to be standing in the world. I get to decide if I want to look at those traits, continue to adopt any of those traits, change any of those traits or those mindsets. And then I get to decide how I want to move forward. So if you've had past experiences that weren't wonderful and they were difficult and they were challenging to say the least, I see you. And I know you have a decision of how you want to look and view that. And it's easy for all of us to play victim, to be in victim mode, and to say, look at what so and so did to me. How could they do that to me? But that doesn't get us very far. So if we keep on with deciding that we are less than, not of the same value, if that the world is out to get us, then we're going to walk around in a world magnetizing that to us. So we get to decide, you get to decide how you want your life to live, how you want your life to be constructed, put together, who you want to have in, who you want to have out, how are your boundaries set, how is your everything set? And if you understand in the microness of your life, the details, the specifics, the routine, the stuff that you're deciding to do when nobody's looking, Hmm. When nobody's looking, how are you conducting yourself and how are you showing up and how are you deciding you're going to start your day and end your night? How are you going to bookend your life where it's a story that you're interested in telling people? How are you going to decide which path to take, the safe and boring one, or the one that's maybe a little bit unknown, but offers you some freedom and experiences that you've always wanted to do, right? We always want to stay safe and we always want to mitigate our risks, but we also know that sometimes we have to take a risk and have a leap of faith. You get to decide. You get to decide what you want to do. You get to decide how you want to show up. You get to decide the emotions you have. You get to decide not only the emotions that you have, right? Initial emotions happen, but you're deciding how long you want to hold them for. Even grief passes. It enters in like a fog, but it also passes, and we can hold on to it or we can let it pass. We can hold on to those rough emotions, the choppy waters, or we can just know that it's a passing storm that we have to deal with, like a sailor on a ship, and we just let it move through us because we know that this too shall pass. We know our wisdom. We know. But we also get to decide how many times we want to scream in the dark and punch the air or just accept it and move on and keep going. Every situation is going to be different, but the more you understand, this is a key, how much of a decision you have and how you show up and how you're standing in your emotions, everything can change. You can let the littlest things bother you or nothing at all, and then that will bother everyone else. When you don't have any sort of infliction, you don't have any sort of repercussion or any response when someone's trying to trigger you because you know all the backstory, you know where the intention's coming from. Even if you don't, you know how to handle that trigger. Is it easy? It gets easier, but you also decide how long or how short that process takes as well. You're always deciding and making decisions. And so, if we understand that our purpose is to be in purpose, to be on purpose, then decisions get easier. And we can make decisions from a really great place because we're in alignment with ourselves, because we know ourselves and we're not going to lie to ourselves. And sometimes we go through phases where we don't realize we're doing that. And so that we can never do that again. And we can be really honest with ourselves and make sure that when we make decisions of clarity, to get clarity, we have to really understand what's going on inside, how our thoughts are being constructed and framed. Do they need to be reframed? How we're holding on to emotions that don't serve us. How do we let those go? How do we release them? How do we make sure that we're just evolving and processing naturally? There's stuff that happens in life. We have to process it. We have to move through it, and we have to be able to decide where and how long and for what time and the context of everything, how much, how much, how much weight are you going to put on yourself for things? How much are you going to punish yourself for things? You get to decide how much you decide, how much you want anything to hold you back. You get to decide. So as you're finding this video and you're watching this through some woman on the internet, you can decide, how are you going to start the rest of your day? How are you going to continue the rest of your day? How are you going to continue out the rest of this year? How are you going to walk into a new phase, a new season, a new year? How will you decide how you stand, how you show up, how you imagine your life to be, how you envision your life to be? And at any point in time when there's something that comes at you that is difficult, that is challenging, that is something undesirable, decide how you might want to approach it and be the solution to go through it and move through it. so that you're seeing a situation, even if it's not that great, even when the world feels like it's falling apart, you still get to decide how you want to walk through it, how you want to hold that space, how you want to let it affect you, how you want to do things to help, not help, focus your attention in the right ways. You're deciding. And the more you can decide, the more thoughtful you will be in your life, and things will start to fall into place. You're going to start to see things happen quickly because you're making decisions from a really centered place of who you are. And you're understanding the responsibility and accountability and how liberating and free that is, that you get to ultimately decide how it is you want to move through the world. So I hope you make really clear decisions that are in your best interest, that help propel you forward in whatever you want to do and all of your creative adventures. I love you all. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.